So this is going to be a video all about my favourite poem, Walt Whitman's Eidolons, and I'm going to read that poem in just a moment. Um, However, I think I want to begin with sort of suggesting what this means to me. It's one of my favourite poems. This is one of my favourite things that I've ever come across. I just think that this is the most astounding masterpiece, and it speaks of the great mystery of being alive and in thought, and in our philosophies and in our ways of life and in living and dying and what we leave behind, and the relics or eidolons that we fashion in life. So eidolon is it means relic, basically. It's a sort of a spherical orb-like ancient Greek relic that someone would have with their face on it. That is an eidolon. And there's been some American, unfortunately, videos reciting eidolons. We're calling it Eidolons. And I don't know, I can't get along with that. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. But here we go, Eidolons by Walt Whitman. I met a seer, passing the hues and objects of the world, the fields of art and learning, pleasure, sense, to glean eidolons. Put in thy chance, said he, no more the puzzling hour nor day nor segments parts put in. Put first before the rest as light for all, an entrance song of all, that of eidolons. Ever the dim beginning, ever the growth, the rounding of the circle, ever the summit and the merge at last to surely start again. Eidolons, eidolons. Ever the mutable, ever materials changing, crumbling, recohering. Ever the ateliers, the factories divine, issuing eidolons. Lo, I or you or woman, man or state, known or unknown, we seeming solid wealth, strength, beauty build, but really build eidolons. The ostent, evanescent, the substance of an artist's mood or savant's studies long, or warrior's martyrs, heroes' toils to fashion his eidolon. Of every human life, the units gathered, posted, not a thought, emotion, deed left out, the whole or large or small, summed, added up in its eidolon. The old urge, based on the ancient pinnacles, lo, newer, higher pinnacles, from science and the modern still impelled, the old urge eidolons. The present, now and here, America's busy, teeming, intricate whirl of aggregate and segregate, for only thence releasing today's eidolons. These were the past of vanished lands, of all the reigns of kings across the sea, old conquerors, old campaigns, old sailors' voyages, joining eidolons. Densities, growth, facades, strata of mountains, soils, rocks, giant trees, far born, far dying, living long to leave, eidolons everlasting, exult, rapt, ecstatic, the visible but their womb of birth, of orbic tendencies to shape and shape and shape, the mighty earth eidolon. All space, all time, the stars, the terrible perturbations of the suns, swelling, collapsing, ending, serving their longer, shorter use, filled with eidolons only. The noiseless myriads, the infinite oceans where the rivers empty, the separate countless free identities like eyesight, the true realities, eidolons. Not this the world, nor these the universes, they the universes, purport and end, ever the permanent life of life. Eidolons, eidolons. Beyond thy lectures, learned professor, beyond thy telescope or spectroscope, observer keen, beyond all mathematics, beyond the doctor's surgery, anatomy, beyond the chemist with his chemistry, the entities of entities, eidolons, unfixed yet fixed, ever shall be, ever have been and are, sweeping the present to the infinite future, eidolons, eidolons, eidolons. The prophet and the bard shall maintain themselves in higher stages yet, shall mediate to the modern, to democracy, interpret yet to them God and eidolons. And thee, my soul, joy's ceaseless exercises, exaltations, thy yearning amply fed at last, prepare to thee thy mates, eidolons. Thy body permanent, the body lurking there within thy body, the only purport of form thou art, the real I myself, an image, an eidolon. The very songs, none of thy songs, no special strains to sing, none for itself, but from the whole resulting, rising at last and floating, around full-orbed eidolon. Is that not the greatest thing you've ever heard as a poem? Come on. That takes poetry to a different place, I think, just for me. I love it so much. It's a hymn to science, nature, discovery, human ambition. That's the major thing about it. And like, if Whitman could have seen the 20th century, it says like we're doing this. We're doing things like launching people into space. You know, like Whitman would have been all about the rocket, wouldn't he? Not, you know, in the 50s or something. You can sort of imagine Whitman in the 50s a bit, I think. Big beard on him, little hippies on him, smoking endless reefer. It's so powerful. It stirs, like, I think of, like, you know, stars filled with eidolons, only stars exploding, filled with particles, right? You know, and in this process, you know, the relics of stars, we're made of the relics of stars. That's part of it as well. You know, we speak about oxygen and nitrogen and carbon and magnesium and iron and the rest of it, and gold and heavier elements, uranium. You know, there's a little bit of uranium in all of this. Well, there's, you know, a little bit of most radioactive elements in all of this. A little bit of, well, most elements in all of this. There's not much unseptium in us. But... So yeah, this really profound, scientifically literate basis to the poem. I'm going to just go through it again, and I think, find... So, I can never find this bloody thing. Where is it? Come on. Here it is. Good. So, it is binding a deep scientific literacy and a deep scientific interest, I think, and an interest in knowing the truth about nature, and coupling that with an ode, if you like, to human ambition and progress, saying like, yeah, we can, you know, achieve these, you know, newer, higher pinnacles, but still we'll be leaving relics. So it's socio-political in that sense also, in terms of how the present defines, the past defines the present via its relics, and so on and so forth. It's made me think of all sorts of things. It actually inspired a book of mine, I think. And it's coupling this, like, opens with, I met a seer. You know, I met, like, a mystic, an oracle. So that's fascinating to bring back in there, along with all this science allusion, you know, and and Doctor Surgery, Anatomy, Beyond the Chemistry, and so on and so forth. Yes, it's bringing back mysticism into it, since that used to be a deep part of philosophy, if you like, or you know, the mathematician and the mystic were almost one and the same, in exactly the same way, precisely the same way as the astrologer and the astronomer were the same figure, the same person. The scientist was also the mystic, the fortune teller. And in a sense, that's still kind of what a scientist is, in a sense. A scientist needs to be able to predict an outcome, given initial conditions, right? And it needs to be repeatable. And a hypothesis needs to hold upon being tested to become a scientific theory, and so on. And yeah, Whitman presaging all this stuff, I think, maybe even a few things in there Whitman may not have ought to have known. Supernovae, he would have known about that, but I mean, filled with eidolons only. What did we really know about what supernovae were filled with back then? I don't think we knew a huge amount about it. I mean, we hadn't discovered electrons and protons at that point, had we? So, I mean, J.J. Thomson in 1903, discovers the electron, and then Ernest Rutherford splits the atom in 1907. Yeah? I think. Or thereabouts. I'm probably fucking up the dates or whatever. It is genius. It's the greatest poem. It's the greatest genius poem, in my opinion. It's perfect. It doesn't miss a beat. It warrants every bit of thunder and drama in my voice. And it is a hymn. It's a sermon. Well, no, not a hymn. It's a sermon. More like a sermon to the wind. Because I don't think it's the most popular poem at the time. And no one seems to fucking know about it. I'm that guy, aren't I? It's always got to be something obscure. Everyone knows "Oh Captain, My Captain." It's great. But Eidolons is the really dank shit in Walt Whitman. It is great. It is dank. I love it to bits. My favourite thing. My favourite poem. Yeah, thank you.